Now, here's another. I've got sound bites here. Bill O. Baxter on Fox last night. So let's get it. Let me find the sound bite. I happened to hit it first one. Number 12. Grab sound bite number 12. And this is common. There are a lot of people, particularly on Fox, the commentators, the hosts, the guests. This seems to be a theme within the Republican Party and on Fox.
The question is, did President Obama know about the regulations and the language in the report? I don't believe he did because he didn't read it. He doesn't pay attention to details.
He didn't know. He didn't know what was going on. He had no idea about any of this. As though, well, let's not hold him accountable. He didn't know. Now, to a certain extent, he doesn't care about the details. He cares about the chaos, because every day of chaos is one day closer to what he really wants, which is single payer. I don't think it's that he doesn't know the details. I think it's he doesn't care. Folks, I think he's so far ahead of the Republican Party, they don't know what's hitting them every day. And the reason they don't is because they fail to understand the ideology of the Democrat Party. The inside the Beltway thinking, I'm convinced of this now, more than I've ever been. The inside the Beltway thinking has nothing to do with ideology. A liberal isn't a liberal. A Democrat's a Democrat. And the Democrats and Republicans, they trade power now and then. They take turns being in charge of the money. But they're missing who Obama is, as are most of the people in this country. Why is it, if I can revisit, why is it that on January 16th of 2009, I can say with total confidence and without any doubt whatsoever, I hope he fails? Because I know who he is. And how do I know that? Because I understand his ideology, and most of you do too. The Tea Party is fully aware of the ideology of the Democrat Party and of Barack Obama. And it's not just liberal, it's socialist Alinskyite. But the Republican Party doesn't know this, or doesn't care to know it, or doesn't want to know it, or doesn't want to fight on this basis. It's one of those possibilities. And therefore, they're not even in the game, because it is the only thing driving Obama is his ideology. The Democrat Party today is nothing but ideology. And the only way they can be understood is to understand their ideology. And the only way they can be defeated is to understand their ideology. If you do not understand their ideology, meaning their liberalism, meaning their devotion to Alinskyism, if you don't understand that, you're never going to be able to beat them. If they're just a bunch of incompetent Democrats, for example, you're never going to beat them if that's what you think they are. If they're just a bunch of well-intentioned, but, oh, God, look at what they're doing, you're never going to beat them if you're not willing to admit to yourself who they are. You have to understand their ideology. This was my incredulity when I heard Dr. Krauthammer say that he didn't know who Obama was for 5 weeks after he was inaugurated. That's stunning to me, because Krauthammer certainly, he used to be a lib, at least worked with Walter Mondale. I mean, he's got to know who these people are. Even when he had dinner with him, to spend 6 hours, you've got to know who he is. It's not hard to learn. And even every liberal has become practiced at hiding the ideology. And so if you are going to, if you're not going to admit to yourself that X and X Democrats are liberal because you don't ever see it, then they've already won. They've already defeated you. By definition, a liberal is a radical leftist extremist today. By definition, they all are. There aren't any degrees here. And it's almost now accurate to say that that's true for every Democrat in Washington. They're all left-wing ideologues. And for people like you and me, folks, it's not hard to understand what this means. What we're up against is a Democrat Party led by Barack Obama, which has a socialist vision for the country. They proceed on the basis or on the belief that America is bad. They proceed on the basis that America's founding was unjust and immoral, unfair, and therefore illegitimate. This is who they are. And if you are unwilling to admit this, and John McCain, for example, would never admit this about him. He'll never admit this about Harry Reid. He'll never admit this about Pelosi. And so McCain is worthless in terms of defeating them. That's why he wants to be the maverick to cross the aisle to work with them. He does not, because he either can't or he doesn't want to see them for who they are. They do not like the way the country was founded. It's unfair, it's unjust, it's immoral. It's racist. It's capitalist. The unfairness is the capitalism. The unfairness is that there are rich people and poor people, and that's not right. And they are also informed, animated, motivated by what they think is the antidote to all of this, and that is redistribution of wealth. Everything culturally being morally relative. There are no absolutes. Nobody gets to say what's right or wrong. There are no cultural guardrails. Anything goes, and they are the champions of anything goes. So their antidote to the whole notion that America is unjust, immoral, unfair, racist, bigoted, sexist, capitalist, and all that is to take from the rich, take from everybody who's got more than anybody else, redistribute the money. Theoretically, they never actually succeed at that, but that's what they claim they want to do. Excuse me. There's a reason, folks, that on the left, people like Che Guevara are on T-shirts. There's a reason that people like actor Sean Penn and so forth love and idolize socialist dictators. There's a reason for it. That is the way they express their disagreement with the way the country is and the way it was founding. Now, this is what constitutes their ideology. And this is the path Obama is on, and he has said so. It is what he means when he says he wants to fundamentally transform this country. Now, within this universe, the details of things are irrelevant. The healthcare system is unfair for two reasons. A, the left doesn't run it, and B, capitalists do. That alone makes it unfair. Add in that some people don't have insurance and other people do. That makes it unfair, and therefore it's got to change. It's not acceptable. The fact that some people have better coverage than others, some people get treatment, some people don't, that is an indictment of the country, and it informs them, motivates them, and it has to change with them in charge. And the first thing that has to change is to dismantle what exists, and whatever chaos results is okay, because what's happening is the dismantling. So Sebelius can go up there and take every arrow thrown. She can be the sponge that absorbs every bit of criticism. Doesn't matter. It's part of the plan of fundamentally transforming it. And that's why for the Republicans on this committee today, if there's no ideological understanding of what's going on, there will not be any ideological pushback. And there will not be any ideological alternative for the American people. Not a health care alternative, not the Republicans' own version of Obamacare, but an ideological pushback. Now, while they do all this, how does Obama come across? Comes across as a reasonable, soft-spoken, pragmatic kind of guy. He doesn't look like anything I've described. He doesn't look like a wild-eyed radical that doesn't like this country. That's why having dinner with him and listening to him talk doesn't matter. You have to understand what he is by virtue of what his loyalties and devotions and ideological beliefs are. You have to be willing to admit that to yourself. We all do. And those who will not are sadly being employed unknowingly by Obama and his pals to help them advance what they want. All Obama cares about is that every day the general direction of the country is toward where he wants to go. The day-to-day minutia and the problems and the apparent failures of what he's trying to irrelevant, because the chaos and the dismantling is the success. And when you're going to start dismantling something as big as the healthcare system, of course it's going to be a mess. These guys don't know what they're doing. They don't know. They don't really have an alternative, and they don't care right now. All they care about is that it gets so bad that there is a clamor for the government to fix it by having a single-payer system, even if people don't know what they're asking for. That's where this is heading. But you cannot dismantle something this big and this intricate without there being chaos. And that's fine with them. If you're Obama and the Democrats, you just keep pounding on the traditions and institutions that made this country great. You keep pounding them. You keep destroying them. You keep attacking them. You keep blaming them. You have the media in your pocket helping you along. You've got a low information voter base that has been made to believe that every capitalist entity is out to harm them. My example of last hour. And it's actually, in the real world, anybody who knows anything, it's preposterous to say the insurance companies like losing customers. It's absolutely preposterous. They don't make money losing customers. They don't lose money canceling. They don't make money canceling policies. They don't make money hurting people. They do not make money getting rid of people. They do not make money canceling policies. And yet, the low information people in this country believe this is how the insurance companies succeed. By canceling people, by hurting people, because that's what capitalism does. That's what the Republicans do. And if there's not going to be any ideological pushback on any of it, this is why, folks, in just a small way here to start, this is why the idea of this book I've written intrigued me, was some inroad to young skulls full of mush that puts in front of them the truth of the greatness of the founding of this country, to battle back, fight back against this incessant, never-ending assault on this country, which is what Barack Obama is doing. My God, taking over the health care system, destroying the private sector economy the way he has. The fact that there's no outrage about any of this is a testament to how successful they have been in poisoning the minds of the low-information voters and creating a level of ignorance the country's probably not seen in the modern era. In an era where there's so much education in this country, for there to be so much ignorance is stunning to me. So much indoctrination, stunning.